have lots of rabbit to get rid of.
Do I know people?
Yeah.
Jennifer Lacey had some on with her, whatever her last.
Can you hear us, Joel?
Oh, it's you.
I'm trying to, we're having some technical difficulties here, so give me a second.
Yep, I hear you.
I didn't have the cord plugged in.
Turn my volume down.
Came on.
It's on. There are the eyes. Is everything going?
Okay, can everybody hear us?
I can hear you.
Fantastic.
Okay, so we'll get started. Workshops are an opportunity for board members to discuss issues informally with staff and invited guests. The board encourages members of the public to attend work sessions and listen to the discussion, but there's generally no opportunity for public comment. Members of the public wishing to address the board are welcome to do so during the board's regularly scheduled monthly meetings. Events and rolling calendar.
Wait, I don't know why that's not popped in. Yeah, start off all of our meetings. See if anyone else is joined in. OGAT training just down to one. Events coming up, Super Saturdays this weekend. Next weekend was meant to be the Monster Truck Show, but that's not happening. So it's just the 4-H dog show that happens every year on President's Day. Friends of the Fair will do their first show the following week. Looks like Sue's on the call. They're working through all of the equestrian stuff. And yeah, we should be ready for them. Quinceanera, and then followed by the weigh-in. Next month, yeah, this possible Monster Truck Show is not happening. Several banquets, car show, more Friends of the Fair show, circus. And into April, Friends of the Fair 3, some banquets, and beginning of April is when we start putting the floor down for the Wine Seafood Festival, Wine Seafood at the end of the month. Spring weigh-in, yeah, busy schedule. You have any questions on any of those? Rolling calendar, the 18th has that workshop with the county board. And it's really Dale presenting an update to them on what's going on. That's a daytime meeting next month. I've got Fair Board bylaws. I have a draft of some bylaws for you guys to review. I'll have to bring in the reduced fee policy. I didn't get that done this meeting. Basically, I was going back through the prior agendas, trying to find the drafts on the latest revision, and what I think I discovered was we talked about that when we were talking about something else, and so I need to find that part of the meeting so that I make sure I can get that part correct. That one should go pretty quick. I think the last we'd left, we were just gonna say no reduced fees, and you can, volunteer and get donations from us for your volunteering. End of the month is the OFEA convention in Seaside. At some point, we'll need to plan these public meetings to talk strategic plan, but if there's anything you guys want to talk specifically about, we can throw it on the calendar.
Okay, is that it, Kyle?
Yep.
Okay, the next is the strategic plan update from Gail.
Can you make me a presenter, please, so I can share my screen?
Yeah. Did that work?
Yeah. And can you give me permission to share my screen, please?
It hasn't asked me if you want to make hosts, maybe?
Make co-host. Yeah.
Yeah, co-host, not host. Please grab that. Hey, you don't,
There
you
what?
guys don't have one. That's, she's. We're short a couple.
Okay.
Oh, there it is.
All right. Technology, I'm so impressed. So can everybody hear me? Everybody can
You
hear
are.
me? Okay. So, again, for the record, I'm Gail Henriksen. I'm the Community Development Director for the county. And tonight I just wanted to do a brief presentation and an update, for your fair board and to the public, just to let you know what we've been working on and where we're going. Okay, so, I know we don't have a lot of time during our work session, but these are the topics I want to touch on tonight. Seeing if there's any comments on the draft conditions report that Kyle sent out to everyone. Look at your tally of your responses for the worksheets that you turned in after your January 6th meeting. We're going to talk briefly about the capital improvements that your board identified. We're going to touch very briefly on the public involvement plan that Kyle and I are working with public affairs to start drafting. We are doing a work session to the board on the Board of Commissioners on February 18th, just to give them an update as well. And then we'll go over the next steps and if there's any discussion. So really, my first question is for your board. I don't know if you've had a chance to review the draft conditions report. There were several pages, a lot of bullet points, a lot of pictures, but just generally, if there are things that you feel are missing or things that struck you as things you didn't know or things that you felt should have been in there, just to have a brief discussion and to see if your board had any immediate.
I thought it was good. I learned some stuff that I didn't know. I thought there was a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah, Kyle has been a great help in helping to put that together.
Hold on, I lost the video here.
Is that with the new compressor on it?
I'm sorry, say that again,
Is
Doug?
that, right? Is that a new compressor on there for the compressor we have? It can be shut off. When they shut it off, the fair, they shut our fire system off.
Oh, I don't know.
It's not necessarily in the capital improvement plan. That's more of a maintenance item that we would just take care of in our operating budget.
Which fire system installed?
That was that was one of the notes that I had, when I went through this as well. We did some maintenance on the system, and I'll go over the maintenance that was done in my manager's report.
We're having some technical.
So if your board does have additional comments or thoughts on the draft conditions report, please let Kyle know if you can by the end of next. We're gonna wrap that up and we're gonna be sending this draft as well to the Board of Commissioners so that they can see the same materials you're looking at. All right, well, while Kyle is busy covering up my wonderful presentation.
Just one question, you cut up there, you wanted by the end of next week, is that what you said? I don't know if we heard it exactly. What was your request from a timing perspective? Or end of this week?
No, if you could have it by the end of next week,
Okay,
fine. We'll go to the Board of Commissioners on the 18th, and then we'll take all those comments and create a final draft.
thanks.
Yeah, and this is just the picture she put in this handout. There's probably 20 pages in that.
Yeah,
whole
probably
stuff.
more.
Yeah, I think it's like 30. There's a lot there.
Yeah. But there's a lot at the fairgrounds, so. The next topics that I want to touch on have to do with the worksheets that you completed after your January 6th meeting. And you were tasked with identifying peer fairgrounds, competing venues, stakeholders, capital improvements, and then a list of survey questions as well. So Kyle forwarded me all your responses, and thank you again for getting those done. I really appreciate that. What I did is I tallied all these up using both our conversation on January 6th and that discussion that we had, as well as your written responses, and then ranked them by the number of times that the fairground was mentioned, the peer fairground. And so you can see that the top ones here are highlighted in the light yellow. We had put in our scope of work that we would contact 10. This is actually, I believe, more than 10. But it captures the ones that got the most votes, and I think that's fair to include all those. So I don't know if anybody on your board has any other thoughts or anything else that they would like to add or change.
I think it's good.
Okay. Then the next thing we did was the same thing for the competing venues. There are a lot more of these. You can see a lot of them just got one mention. But we picked out the top ones there again, and I believe that there are 10 if I counted correctly. Again, if you wanted me to include anything else on there, we do have one additional third one. That's the Masonic Lodge, and I did not include them because they aren't open yet. So they really wouldn't be a good source of information. But otherwise, that would capture the top 10 that your board identified.
Is this Best Western Ocean View Resort? Is that in like Seaside?
Yeah.
Just looking at this myself, I do think that, I mean, the Granges are tough because each one is their own thing, but it does seem like what they're doing is a lot in line with what we have going on for rentals. I think there's people that are coming to the Granges that aren't. They're going to the Granges, but they could be coming here.
Yeah,
Cause they're so cheap.
I would like specifically the one.
The Nettle Grange.
Yeah,
Nettle's a big one.
yeah, that's probably our biggest, like, hosts a lot of events.
Yeah.
And the gal that runs that is also a super fair volunteer as well, so.
Okay.
Getting in communication with her should be easy.
Weird.
Okay, so I'll add Nettle Grange as well for that
There's a
one.
lot.
Okay, any other comments or changes on the competing venues?
Thank you.
I'm just, the question on Camp Rayleigh, I thought we kind of left it as that it was less likely to be open to the public. I didn't know that was gonna be, I thought that's kind of where we left off.
I do remember that now. Wasn't there something that the new person in charge doesn't have it open to the
Commander?
public?
Yeah. But
I thought that was the old person.
Was it the
Good
old
news.
person, that new person's opening up to more public?
I thought it was the other way, but I might be mistaken.
I don't know, they still do runs out there. That's public. They still
Yeah.
have like
But-
cross-country meets out there.
It'd be
Yeah,
worth
but
reach-
those are school-based. That's still a, right, it's more kids
Um,
skill-based. Anyway, I don't know. Didn't know if there was an option if you could do a preliminary before you go through the whole process with them, if they actually are like, we minimal amount of external or something. That was the only thing that jumped out at me.
Would it be helpful to at least ask the question of Camp Riley and then go to the next in line below the Masonic Lodge?
Well, they're not open for events at the.
That's what I mean, is,
Yeah.
so Lodge is out, but the next one
Oh, the
under that.
country club.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
and that would make sense.
And Bridgewater Bistro also does an awful lot of weddings and does,
That's the
That's
law.
the loft. The
Oh.
bistro's the restaurant part. That's the other side of the building.
okay.
They do have a private area up above, but I don't know if they rent that.
And this was the one that I didn't do terrible much research in. I just kind of pulled out some names that I thought I knew, but something just kind of looking geographically of it. Is there anything in Long Beach area that we might not be thinking about, or maybe even Clatskanie that we're not thinking about? Cause it doesn't seem like any of that stuff
Not
is
that I know of.
That's kind of out of the way.
hit here.
I would think if people wanted to go to Long Beach, they're gonna head south, Cannon Beach or Seaside.
There is the Columbia County Event Center. I think that was one that kind of came up on my list because I was trying to find something that was a little farther away, but not, I don't really care if it's added or not, but that was,
Yeah, is that the same as Merriweather Place?
I don't know that.
Yeah.
But if they were
Okay.
looking for something farther away, I'm not really pushing for that. It was just, I think the list is good. I think for me, it was the only question about was Camp Riley, if it was really worth the effort, if they are less likely to be general public.
All right, so if I'm hearing correctly, what your board's saying is, we'll do a test run, so to speak, with Camp Riley and feel them out about their policies on public events. If not, we're gonna move down to the Astoria Country Club, and we're definitely gonna add in the Nettle Grange. Okay. So next, we wanted to talk about stakeholders, and in our scope of work, we had stated that we would contact up to 40 stakeholders. And so the ones that are in the light yellow color are the ones that your board identified and that came up most frequently. And it's nothing that's really surprising. It's the 4-H, it's the FFA, it's the auction committee, the equestrian groups. And nothing too surprising there, but that only came to about 34. And so staff has the darker yellow color, are groups that we are suggesting that your board might also want to consider as stakeholders. But really, if there's anybody on here that you would like to add or change staff's recommendations, that's the input I need from your board this evening.
Nygaard Lumber is a big contributor, supporter to a lot of events.
Yeah, they're on here.
It's in white though.
Yeah, we didn't make that recommendation because we did have, I believe, Lindsay Davis and Women in Timber. But we can definitely add in Nygaard as well.
They're traditionally always one of our top
But definitely sponsors
sponsors.
Okay.
above Lindsay Davis.
Yeah, so we want to make sure we get them.
Please.
Visit Clatsop County, I was not sure what that was. So I don't know if anybody can clarify that for me.
I have no idea about it.
I have no
Is
idea.
it a-
Because we do have several, we've got the chambers on there, we've got Travel Oregon, we've got the Oregon Coast Visitors Association, and then somebody had put in Visit Clatsop County as an organization, but I'm not familiar with it.
I have no idea.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Do we know what the Barley Producers Association is?
I do not.
Clatsop County.
Yeah, those are just two. I haven't heard of a Barley Producers.
I didn't visit for sure.
I'm not showing the visit Clatsop County out.
That
So
was-
I think we'll take Visit Clatsop County off the list. We're gonna add in Nygaard. And do we want to take the barley producers off and maybe add in something different?
I think we should find out what that is first.
Okay,
barley producers.
When,
Barley would encompass, I would imagine some sort of ag,
yeah, I just
Yeah.
haven't heard of it.
but Bismarck Clatsop County sounds.
But I mean, that's the same thing. So we have a beekeepers association here somewhere?
Yeah,
There is-
right under the barley.
But no, where is that? Does anyone know who
There
that
is the
is?
Clatsop County
There is.
Beekeepers Group.
And my other question would be. Oh, I'm gonna butcher her name. I can think it, I can't. Last name Taylor.
Oh, Dulcie.
Dulcie.
Thank you. I was not gonna get that right. What is,
Who-
where's her involvement? What would she?
She apparently was an Astoria Business Person of the Year.
Oh, frames.
Old
Yeah.
Town Framing.
Old
There we
Town
go.
Framing,
Yes.
yeah.
But no longer in that. She wasn't even in the area. I don't think so. Junior Livestock Association, should Junior Livestock Association be?
So are we saying what's in white we're
Yeah.
not talking to, or?
Right,
I mean, they are stakeholders.
so, cause we
They're kind of a stakeholder.
agreed that we would do up to 40, so your
Oh, is there
board can
40
change
here?
these around, I just ranked them according to what was most mentioned and then what staff kind of looked at as possibly being important.
So the Clatsop Working Watershed and then the Women in Timber work together, right? Like that, cause that's who does natural
No.
resource.
Well, Lindsay Davis is also a timber buyer for Hampton. So I don't know if, yes, they could be collaborated as one, but you should separate.
But like, I feel like maybe that should be something we talk.
She needs to be separated out
Maybe the Junior Livestock Association should probably be
Yeah,
with auction committee.
definitely on there.
Well,
Oh,
auction
they're on
committee,
there twice. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
same.
it's the
those are
same thing.
org.
That's the auction
entity.
committee.
yes.
What do you guys think about Tongue Point?
Yes, I was just thinking, are they open or they're not open? Are they open or they're not open?
You know,
Love them.
we work with them to get like labor, but as far as like our business side of things, I'm not sure if there's much that they would.
Right.
Besides saying when they could provide us students or not to help us.
yeah, I understand this now. I was a little confused the first time I read this.
Oh, never mind. It's on the end. Okay.
And the. What's the difference between the 4-H association and the 4-H extension?
So extension is like OSU directly, and it's
Okay.
their staff and the programs, and then the association is.
The leaders, it used to be called the Leaders Association.
What's loco?
Those are the airplane folks
Oh,
that use the
got
little
it.
field. Yeah, it looks like a good list.
I think so too.
You know, the fire marshal could be interesting, but that could also be a separate conversation. More about just like having them do some kind of assessment of the facility rather than having them be involved in our plan.
So do we wanna add to, since we got rid of the barley and got rid of visit Clatsop County? Oh, we're adding Nygaard.
We're
And then
adding Nygaard,
What's one
and then
more?
if there's anybody else, and we could go a little bit over 40.
The master, I said the master gardener and the 4-H extension, that's all OSU extension.
Okay.
So you have the master gardeners over there, but they're in with the 4-H, they're with the MOU with the OSU.
So then I
So
guess we
that's kind
could
of like the same,
add,
just so you know.
add to.
I would be curious about this visit Clatsop County, what that was, like if that was something that Kristen came up with, she might know something about that group. Like I know she pulled out quite a bit of like
Yeah, that's where a lot of these came from, was her.
from her, yeah, she's using them as resources for information, so she threw it on there.
Well-
That might be the group that Regina works with, that
No, she
It's
was,
with the chamber.
she's with the chamber under a different subcommittee, tourism.
Lower Columbia
something,
Tourism.
which I think, I left it with the chamber.
So. I kind of feel like we need to separate Lindsay. From, cause Lindsay's involved with Hampton, who's also a big sponsor.
Yeah.
And she
And-
sits on Women in Timber.
Yeah, so I don't know if like Lindsay Davis could be moved into like Hampton Lumber / Lindsay Davis.
That really is two different entities, Women in Timber.
Yeah,
and Hampton are two separate.
Yeah. So like do a Lindsay Davis / Hampton Lumber and then Women in Timber.
I mean, and
separate
just
from-
having her on that, I mean, she can be advocating for
Yeah.
all of those groups kind of
True,
as a
yeah.
But just
package.
making sure that those are two different hats. Two different entities.
And a prior OSU extension.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We can see the Clatsic tribe. Are they active? Is that be something?
Diane is like the last one and she is in a home with.
I saw they just did a pretty big event. I was at the Armory
last one I know.
or at the community college. They've
She-
reached out to us about renting our facility a couple of times to do some of their events, but we were always booked the weekend and they have like hard dates.
Yeah.
It's like they do this event on this day of the year earlier.
Is this Q&A 1? Does someone have questions somewhere down there? Or is that totally different?
That
Oh, that was
Gail.
James, yeah.
No problem, Gail.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is, we're probably gonna remove the barley producers. We're gonna verify Visit Clatsop County. Nygaard Logging, Warrenton Fiber. The junior livestock goes with the auction committee, and then we're gonna break out Lindsay Davis, the Women in Timber and Hampton Lumber.
Mhm. And then Master Gardeners
Goes
goes
with the 4-H extension.
Yeah, I just said it's all OSU extension.
Okay.
So the only question I have about that last comment about Master Gardeners with 4-H extension. So Master Gardeners is Shannon and then the board member for the Master Gardeners Association, which is different than OSU. I mean, Shannon is OSU, but the Master Gardeners, they have their own board, which is not.
That's similar to the, like the 4-H Leaders Association and OSU.
Yeah, those are, and then they're different, right? With the OSU extension, there's an element there, obviously there's education, etc. But Master Gardeners Association is different than that, right? They have the board and they have a different focus. Not that there's not overlap, but I feel like there would be two different things. If you want to get OSU extension generically, that's one thing, but I think Master Gardeners and 4-H probably have representation separately that they may have a different focus.
That makes sense. And from what I think I know about where the extension is right now with that position being vacated, like we're basically going to be working with their regional director for this. And I'm sure he could speak for both extension and the Master Gardeners.
I think that would be I would be the opposite direction. I think Shannon is in it. So from Master Garden, I don't know if Shannon's moving on. I guess I haven't been paying attention to that part. But I think that
it's Brooke.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Okay. Okay. So I can't speak to 4-H. I can speak to Master Gardeners. I just want to make sure that the Master Gardeners Association is the board is involved, that would be who I would anticipate you to actually reach out to more, especially as their direct relationship with the fairgrounds. As opposed to OSU. That would be if I was gonna lean towards one or the other, that's where I would lean towards from a just because I'm a Master Gardener as well.
I think we can do both.
Okay.
That works out fine. So I made a note of that on my sheet as well.
Awesome.
Any other thoughts about stakeholders before we move on? Okay, capital improvements. So again, I've ranked these according to the most oftentimes they were mentioned in your written responses. You can see the indoor arena was the top vote getter, so to speak, and there's a large list of improvements that people suggested. That was followed by the dairy barn and the annex, and interestingly enough, issues about parking, especially making the parking lot ADA accessible. That was mentioned at least 3 times in the responses that talked about parking. And so this just ranks the top vote getters. There were a lot of one-offs or things that were not capital improvements, like update the MOU with Loco, or that one immediately comes to mind, or there were things maybe about a roll-up door in a specific building. So those can all be included, but I wanted to highlight the top vote getters here because there were probably about 50 little things that fell into the other category. So, and that just gives you an idea. There's actually a lot of consensus among the board members about the improvements that were needed in terms of whether it was, putting kitchens in the annex and the dairy barn, or, a lot of, comments about the security system and the need for upgraded security cameras and more locations for security cameras. So there was actually quite a bit that the board was in agreement on your written comments. And then when we move forward with the final report and we're looking at these capital improvements, then I will break them back out by the 5-year, 10-year and 20-year divisions that you had on your worksheets. But just for tonight's purposes, I kind of lumped everything together to give you the big picture.
Looks good.
All right, and there's actually 2 slides of that. So again, we'll run with this list and include all the other smaller projects as well, perhaps as a separate table when we get to the final written plan. But we just wanted to make sure that we captured everything that your board had.
Thank you.
And then public involvement. So the county has a public affairs office, and myself and Kyle and the public affairs person have been working to put together a draft plan. We'll bring that for your board review in March. And that plan is going to cover several different things. It will include parameters for an online survey, and we're going to take the questions that you posed in your responses and pull those into the survey for the general public. And then we're going to be looking at some open houses, probably one in April and one in May, to get some additional public feedback. And so we'll be bringing this public involvement plan back to you, or to you, not back to you, because we haven't brought it yet, but to you at your March meeting. And we'll have that in your agenda package, so you'll have time to review that beforehand. February 18th, we're going to be doing a presentation during the Board of Commissioners work session, just to give them kind of the same presentation I've just given you all this evening, just to keep the board updated on where you're at in your process. So. And then as far as next steps and discussion items, if there's anything else we need to discuss, this is kind of a generalized timeline. We want to finish our existing conditions report next month. So again, if you can get any additional comments to me on that draft existing conditions report, or get them to Kyle by the end of next week, please. Then we're going to bring your public involvement plan in March. We are hoping to launch that online survey in April. We want to be doing the stakeholder interviews this month and next month. And same thing with the fairground interviews and the competing venue interviews. And then again, looking at the first open house sometime late March, early April. We hope to have the draft plan ready for your board to review in May, and we would be hopefully getting that to you in April so that you would have a month to review it before your May meeting. And then taking that same draft plan back to the public in May for a second open house, and taking it also to the Board of Commissioners in May for their review and input, and then hopefully review and adoption in June. So. And that is my update. My contact info is on the last page. Please always feel free to reach out to me if you have questions or thoughts, or you can let Kyle know and he'll get stuff to me as well. And otherwise, I'm just here to answer any other questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Say a comment that I have, this CIP list definitely has a lot of like attention to our existing facilities. And basically restoring a lot of what we have. But what it doesn't seem like we have is any of like ambitious goals for like, what would you want to see for like a larger project on here? So I don't know, I don't want to throw a stick in the spoke, but if there are like larger projects that you guys would want to look at for like the 20-year plan type of thing.
And I think too, Kyle, some of that is gonna get captured and probably provoke more thought as we get the answers back from the peer fairgrounds and the venues and the public.
Yeah.
And, you know, as we hear what the public wants as well, that will probably spark further discussion with your board.
For sure.
Yeah. I think, but circling back, I think if any of you wanted to come and do a walkthrough and we can kind of walk in if you want to kind of look at it through a different lens of like, oh, I know it's there. The stuff we all know needs attention, but hey, what could we do with this space? And you know, like, do we want to do something with those horse barns? Do we want to do something with the fields and the areas that had houses? Like, there's no projects in here for those areas. But again, yeah, that stuff can come up. I just don't want to have us at the last minute dump like new ideas on you, you know? So just some thoughts I had looking over this list. But there's definitely stuff here that's gonna cost probably more money than we have anyways to get done just with rehabbing the arena alone. And so it is good to have a plan that is achievable, but it's also good to have some big goals to be thinking about for the next steps.
So I do have a comment on, just glancing at the plan, the capital improvement plan. Is there a possibility that we can break that up somewhat similarly, that where we have like near term to long term for the same area to look at it from that perspective?
Yeah, so that's actually how your responses were broken up. And when we do the plan, we'll break them back apart so that you've
Okay.
got the 5-year, the 10-year, the 20-year. Look at, let's say, the dairy barn. But for tonight, just to make it easier to take in the information in a short time, I just put all the improvements together under the building. Just so
Okay.
we see what everybody was saying. And some
Okay.
of the responses had the same type of improvement, but some may have put it at 5 years, some may have put it at 10 years, and some may have put it at 20.
That makes
So-
sense, yeah. So eventually you'll have a roadmap we'll all agree to, of kind of like what the plan would look like potentially down the road.
Right.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gail. Okay. Now the budget calendar.
Yes, so at the meeting would have been last Wednesday, the county commission approved the budget policies and budget calendar, and then they've issued the schedule. So just yesterday, I think the section in the software module actually opened up to staff to be able to get in there and start working. And so the schedule is pretty quick. You can see by the 30th, the first deadlines are really due for me to be turned, or the 27th. Yeah, I'm just looking at for January to turn into the to the county finance department. And so this next month they'll be focused on the budget pretty tough. The first section is kind of projecting out our current expenses. You know, what we budgeted, how much of what we budgeted is going to end up being used, and that will give us an idea of the changes that we need to adjust for next year's budget. And so I'll be working on getting, you know, a draft together for you guys to be able to look at before it gets turned in. We probably will need to set a meeting to talk about it if we want to do in-person meeting or a virtual meeting. But I think some of the things that would be helpful is if there's any particular goals that you guys would have for next year's budget. I know we talked a little bit after the fair about increasing our temporary help to add like an office type person to help during the fair. So that line will need to be increased. I did provide last year's budget. This is last year, so this is basically what we'll be building for this year. You know, we had the roof, we have the next phase of the roof project that needs to be funded. I can try to pencil that into the budget and see where the funds lay out on how much we have to actually put towards that, or if we need to save up for a couple years in order to be able to afford to do that. One of the projects that we've had in the looks like this was the two that were in last year. This doesn't show the 5-year out that we had in the budget. One was putting that tent up. And so I think we'll know more about what we want from that once we get through this project, but the roof was the other one. Another one that was on this was adding a transfer switch onto our generator. Right now, our generator, if the power goes out, staff would have to come in here, turn on the generator and transfer load. So if there's an event happening, if there's an emergency and we're evacuation site or whatever, there would be a period of time when there's no power until staff can come on site in order to do that. So I think that would be a worthwhile project to explore doing. I did ask the electrician to come out and try to give me an estimate of what that would cost. My guess is it's probably in the $15,000 range to add that in. One of the other projects that I've been talking about with Andrew is the need for a better mower. Right now we've just got like a regular household riding lawn mower, and buying a more suitable mower for this could probably cut the time in half that it takes for him to mow on a mowing cycle. And so he's working on some quotes for those, and I can plug those in and see what you guys' thoughts are on that when we get a little bit further. But if there's anything else that you're thinking about particularly, I know John would like me to look into the replacement of the compressor on the sprinkler system. There's some other maintenance items that I think we need to budget for this year, but I can work on putting all that together. But if there's anything particular you want me to try to pencil into this budget, let me know. And
Well, we had talked about maybe dunk tank purchase. I'm not sure what your threshold is on taking it to the next year's budget or when you feel like we have funds potentially discussed. So I'm not saying that it's locked in on that one, but
yeah, I can put that on the possibles here. And just to catch everyone else up, I was talking with MJ about entertainment and what we pay to get equipment and stuff here. It's like we were renting a dunk tank for $1,200 a year. At least that's how much it was last year. And if we were to buy one, it could pay for itself in just a couple of years. So maybe
in addition to the fair, right? Then you can rent it out as part of other events if they wanted to, that kind of thing.
Right, we could potentially rent it to events on the property or maybe even rent it out to other groups in the community. We do get called often for people asking if we have a dunk tank or know where to get one. So, yeah, that's a good one to throw into the potentials.
Need to replace the store.
The tent.
The tent. Oh, the tent.
Yeah, so this is going to take up a large chunk of my time here over the next couple of weeks and trying to keep the momentum going on the fair planning stuff we have.
Kyle, can we talk a little bit about what worked well last year for our budget review and what didn't work? I think I remember seeing very small print. That's all I think I can remember with some of the challenges, or I don't know if you guys remember the ones that were there last year. Because I think we went a couple of rounds on, so I'm just wondering if there's ways we can think about if there's anything we can do to help, if there's anything that you're looking for us to do ahead of time and get some commitments on reviewing, and like what specifically you want the board to provide input on. Because I know last year it was kind of, it almost would be easier if it was sort of grouped in some of the categories potentially or something. I can't remember exactly what it was between the fair budget, the fair itself versus the fairground budget. So do you remember what some of the challenges were last year?
Items, is that what she's referring to? Itemized?
Sorry.
Are you referring to itemized items?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there anything we can do to make this more effective and efficient when we do the review?
I think we'll need to set a time. I'm gonna have to go through and do a lot of assumptions and plug them in and then kind of explain to you guys what each of those things mean and the changes between last year and this year. a large majority of the budget is is what it is. We're paying for utilities, we're paying for staff, we're paying for supplies and whatnot. But then there are a few particular items that, like the fair budget and our entertainment activities that we want to do outside of the fair, that we have to kind of identify what those lines, what we're gonna spend that money on. And so I can work through this and try to like separate it out into maybe a couple of categories of like, these are the ones that if we want to make some changes, like get some input from you on what that is.
Mhm.
A lot of it's gonna be tracking what we spent last year in the majority of the lines and making sure we're on track with that. Some of the other things to get some direct input from you on is like the training, like who is gonna intend to go to conventions or other trainings so that we can budget for that correctly. I know it's in the fall, so it's hard to tell exactly when, but to be safe to budget enough so that everybody can attend that wants to attend. Dialing in the maintenance. The maintenance is one of the big funds that's like, it covers a lot and it's all under, what is it?
Maintenance.
Contractual services. Yeah, $110,000 in contractual services, and that covers a lot of the maintenance. It's like contract with the plumber, contract with the fire company, contract with the sprinklers, electricians and stuff like that, so. A lot of that's gonna just be looking at historical and then also as staff kind of looking at what have we not been maintaining to the level it needs to be and making sure there's enough dollars associated with that. But I think me getting this first round of assumptions done based off of, our spending this year. And then, meeting with the board wants to kind of have a rough draft that we can then start moving numbers around for any particular projects that you guys would want to see. Yeah, I'd have to look at this to see exactly what the date is. What does it say? Submission deadline the 27th. So ideally, I'd be meeting with you all at least a week before that so that I can make changes. So if there's some time near the end of this month that we can meet and go over the budget again, and maybe it's a virtual call, it might actually be a little easier to follow along on a computer as I'm scrolling through the screens.
And so so you have to submit the final budget on the 27th, right?
Yes, well, it's the draft and then
Oh.
it can be changed
Oh,
then, but generally it's pretty much the budget is due by the end of the month. And
So
our
are we
next,
are we looking at our calendars that we're doing?
again, yeah.
Yeah.
so are we saying to do it virtual then? What
We
is
can,
our feelings
we
on
can
that?
do it either way, whichever you guys would prefer.
I wasn't here for the last budget, so if someone else wants to give it.
Yeah, I would say virtual would be better. Because it's very, it would, that way you can zoom in on any particular item on your own screen, I think would be helpful. Yep, I think it's virtual. And Kyle, once I'm back in Oregon next week, I know we already have a couple meetings scheduled, but I'm happy to kind of have a meeting with you and we can have Copilot kind of come up with your explanation as you walk through the explanation of what it is and why it's different. And then we can have some of that actually already written out so that the team can see it. I know for me, I'm both a visual and an oral absorber. So we can connect on that if wanted to beforehand.
And so
Yep.
Kyle, you're saying the week before, so like the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, that week?
Yeah,
Would be
I
best.
think either the end of that week or the beginning of either the 19th or 20th or the 23rd or 24th, I think would be ideal. If we did the 24th,
I can't do the 23rd, 24th. My husband's have surgery in
yeah, that
Portland.
would be tough because the the conference in Seaside starts on that Thursday, so if we were able to do it on the 19th or 20th, that would give me the 3 days of the following week to make any revisions.
I'm open to.
I'm open the 19th.
Yeah, works for me.
Twentieth I work
19th, I'm out of town.
at night.
Can you be remote? John, we're all gonna be remote, I think, potentially.
I've got a meeting out of town. So I can go to 18th, but
Mal-
Uh,
Oh, Joel said what
I
time
think
of
it's the
day,
commission
like,
meeting.
yeah, afternoon or evening, like 5, yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
Is Mallory on there still? Couldn't she? Or Joel, what days work for you? Maybe Mallory if she's on here.
Okay.
Are you saying 18th, the Wednesday?
You know, because we have the county commission.
Oh,
meeting
yeah.
on 18th.
yeah, the 18th would be ideal, because it looks like here, the 19th is when I'm supposed to have the projections in, and that's really just analyzing this year's budget.
So
So,
we should-
if we had, John, could you review it ahead of time and provide, feedback? If you're not able to make the 19th, would that work for you, John?
I guess.
Or Kyle, did you just say you have to have something in by the 19th?
The projections, though, really, it's based off of historical information. That's not changing the budget. That's
Okay.
basically taking the 7 or 8 months that it's been, dividing it by the number of months and multiplying it
Okay.
out. But for us, it's not as straightforward, because a large portions of our expenses happen in August, and so that formula doesn't work for some of those. So I have to make some assumptions based off of our operations. And like the rodeo, we have a large chunk of expenses that come out in that 1 month, so looking at those and knowing, okay, we're not gonna spend any more money in that fund, that line, or what we are gonna spend additional in any of those lines, but those give you the roadmap to really be able to build the budget and those projections, and I'll probably have those done by the end of the week, this week. And then starting to use that to figure out
So
the
we're,
next budget.
so we're thinking the 19th at 5, online, virtual. Is that, MJ, that worked for you, right?
It does.
And Joel said any of those days works for me.
What
Okay.
about Mallory?
I don't think she's on here anymore.
Okay.
I'm not sure though. Yeah, no, she's
I-
not on.
I don't see her on there.
Cal better not get loose again. Okay.
February 19th, 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Virtual.
Okay.
Was that everything on the budget?
Yeah, and if any of you would like to meet to talk about the budget, to have a better understanding of what those lines are, it sounds like MJ's gonna set a time and we
Yep.
can try to come up with, you're just trying to have something that's more descriptive for you guys on what these lines mean. Cause they can only put so much on this, so it's like, what does maintenance SIG mean?
Right,
Mhm.
yeah,
I
I think I
did-
remember last year, I was like, it'd be good for us to have that sustainable, where you can just make some tweaks to any descriptions year over year, so that we have a consistent description, so it's not. It's just gonna be a really long process to review it, so we're trying to make it as
Yeah.
easy as possible.
Yeah, and the fact that we did complete the roof project should help some of the confusion, because when you have a project that has that much value in it that rolls over between 2 fiscal years, it can kind of make things a little confusing at the end of the day.
Foundation discussion. Kyle,
Yeah, so last meeting, the concept of a foundation was brought up, and I think everybody was generally supportive of the idea of it, but there were a lot of questions. And so just having some time here for you guys to figure out what your questions are and talk about it and see what you would like staff to look into to move this concept along, or decide what you guys want to do. I did just some basic research on like what types of things should need to be considered, and that's what the bullet points were. And then I went through my file on my email that's all of the listserv basically with the fair managers, because questions come up all the time. And one of the questions that had come up sometime last year was somebody asking about fairgrounds foundations. And so I had found a copy of an agreement that the Josephine County Fair Manager had shared. And so this is an example of just one fairgrounds, what their agreement is with their foundation. I think getting additional examples from other fairgrounds would be worthwhile as well, but really just having some time right now for you all to talk about questions you have and or questions you would like looked into.
With the research areas that you had emailed, I agreed with all of them. They're probably my biggest, especially reviewing, like, talking about if things were to dissolve. I think it's a great idea, for sure. I think it's a good avenue. Just making
First
sure
thing
that
you have to
everything's clear.
understand is that it doesn't exist.
Right,
And so
but it could.
we have to create something from nothing.
Mhm.
And at this point, I don't have the energy or the time to answer all these questions and do actually a big business plan. My idea was get the corporation going, the nonprofit going, which doesn't happen overnight. And then we have to get a fair board. I mean, we have to get a board of directors. And it's not gonna be, because I'm on the fair board here, it's not gonna be me, so I have to find 5 people or 3 people
Mhm.
and come up with a plan with them to do this. It has nothing to do with me or anything else. I'm on the fair board. I'm not, this is something, for instance, we need to put I was active with this Santa Cruz County Heritage Fair Foundation. And they had an old building on property. And the 3rd year they were in business, they were able to raise the funds to rehab that whole building. And it's now part of the fairgrounds. It's a brand new building. But the first year, their goal was to raise $10,000. And they did it by, we have people coming in here and they're raising $150,000 in a dinner.
Mhm.
So we as a fair board don't have really energy to do this all the time. But if you have somebody that can come in here and raise the money, you can do things like fix the roof, or you can put an information booth. Could be something that, maybe a first project or something. But it's an agreement between the two. It's a separate organization.
Right.
And they're only, and if you go on websites of these things, their mission statement is to support the county fair and the county they're in. And that's the whole system there. They have their own insurance, have nothing to do with the county. So they have their own insurance, they have their own board, they have their own bank accounts, they have their own expenses. There's no downside to the fair board for this. The upside is we can't raise money with tax deductions because we're not a 501c3.
Right.
They can go to, for instance, the LNI or ALNI tribe every year gives away a lot of money to nonprofits.
John, it's an exciting idea. I just have, first of all, I'm curious, do you have people that you envision have the energy or interest in driving this?
Again, I have a couple of people I've talked to. But the entity doesn't exist yet. So, it's a moot point until I start, being able to put it into motion.
Well, and I think too, John, is I think we, at least for me, is I like the idea of a foundation. I think it's a good idea, but I think what needs to be, what needs to be clear is like the specifics of like a foundation on how the relationship's gonna be, because it was stated in the last meeting that they're completely separate. They don't, it's the foundation.
Did you see the MOU?
I listened to what you said in
Did
the,
you have an MOU?
but I listened to what you said in the meeting. You said when I questioned on if there was a relationship between the foundation and the fair board, you said, no, it is completely different. You don't, they're not, they're separate entities. When I was questioned, I know what a foundation should look like.
Right.
But what I'm saying is when the person that wants to start the foundation is saying that they're separate and there's not a relationship. But then when later on it is mentioned, well, there is a relationship. I know what it's supposed to look like, but what I'm saying is it needs to be clear what this one's gonna look like, because there has to be a relationship and it has to be clear when money is raised by a foundation that the fairgrounds oversees.
Let's put it this way. If you guys have this thing, I don't have the energy to fight and do anything. You guys, if you want to do it, you can do it. I'm done. Okay? Because I don't have the energy. I was willing to put the money out, and I'm not asking you guys for any money. I'm not involved with it. I'll find people to do this. But the entity doesn't even exist yet. And it's not gonna happen overnight. And most big corporations, their funds end in September. I can't put together a foundation before September. So we're gonna miss this year. So.
I don't want you to spend money on something that either that's not clear, because we want it to be something that is successful.
So I'm okay with dropping the idea again, because again, what I said, I'm just explaining it, okay? And you guys throwing questions at me, and I'm not even prepared to do this. I just brought up this idea. And then I get a 7-page thing with all these things in here, and I really don't have the energy. I really don't to do this. To answer this question. When we get the foundation ready to go, you get the things going, then we do an MOU. And again, 100% of the money is not going to go to the fairgrounds because there's going to be expenses. It's a corporation. It's a separate corporation. The relationship is we as a foundation, they're going to be supporting the fairgrounds.
Yeah. So I think, John, I like the, acknowledging that it's not going to happen this year. And as you know, we're just now getting started on the busiest time of the year from, fair planning. And, acknowledging we all have regular day jobs as well as the work that we do with the fairgrounds. And it might be a distraction that's not this time of the year. And it may be something that is a conversation to pick back up in the fall if there's still interest or if there is increased interest. Because we won't have the time to focus on anything outside of fair and budget for the next X number of months.
MJ, I've already said, let's just shelve it, okay? So
Yeah.
let's just kill it. I'm done.
All right.
Not beat a dead horse. I just tried to do something for the fairgrounds. So sorry.
Okay, so that's the end of that. Do we want to take a quick break? I know it's 6:03. Does anyone need to do anything before? Okay, good. Val, you're good to move on? Okay, let me find my little page. All right, one sec. Where is it in here?
Abby, you need to pick up a lot of.
Oh, I'm just trying to find the page.
Okay.
It's the very first page.
Right after,
And then the back of it.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Okay, so where's right here? Okay, right here. Oh, call the, oh, we do that for it. Sorry. Struggling.
Okay.
Okay, call of order. In person, Elise, Abby, Stephanie, John. Mary Jo and Joel are online. Mallory is not here anymore.
Does not look like it.
Okay, agenda approval, sorry.
Yeah, one quick comment. Apparently when I copied the agenda from last month, I did not remove the section on chair and vice chair section, so no, we're
Okay.
not redoing chair and vice chair. I will remove that from the next meeting's agenda.
So. What am I saying? Where someone approve?
It's
Approve
after
the
first
minutes,
page.
I think.
Yeah, agenda approval.
Hey,
Wanna move
does
this-
somebody want to move to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda
I'll second it.
with the
Chair and vice-
removal of chair and vice chair section 25.
And Stephanie seconds it, and do we say all in favor, right?
Yeah.
Aye.
Sorry, I was on mute. I,
Do we? all in favor? Now. Now we do public comment?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Bear with me here. Okay. At this time, anyone wishing to address the Fair Board concerning items of interest on or off the agenda may do so. The person addressing the Fair Board will, when recognized, give their name and address for the record. All remarks will be addressed to the whole board and limit to 3 minutes per person. Fair Board members reserve the right to delay any action if required until such time when they are fully informed and the matter is scheduled as an agenda item. Anyone have public comment?
Just use the microphone. We still can't hear you. You're facing this way and we're this way. Come on. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. We can hear her.
Yeah, my mom voice, yeah. Okay, I'll try and talk louder. Okay, consent calendar. Right?
Yep. I don't see any online comments.
And so,
The consent calendar is, for this month, is just the Fair Board meetings from January's meeting.
and
the
so,
minutes.
and we have to prove it.
I make
so-
a motion to approve the minutes from the January meeting.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Now. Board member reports. Okay, can I start? I'll start. Sponsorship stuff. Chugging away. I think Kyle said you were at, like, confirmed was like 9,000 something. I have a lot more that is in the works that we should be coming in soon, so I think I can reach my $20,000 goal. Kristen got a grand champion, the highest level of sponsorship for $5,000 from I'm gonna butcher it. Columbia Steel, I believe is what it is. Which is super exciting. That's the extent of my report. Stephanie?
I don't have anything to report.
I have nothing new.
I'm
Sure.
good.
Mary Jo?
yeah, so I met with Kyle. We're gonna meet on a weekly basis, try to keep up on the vendors and then the entertainment area. So some of the areas that I'm gonna be specifically researching is looking at like OMSI Maritime Museum, fishing areas, and other inexpensive supplementals, and then also looking into how we can pull in the America 250th birthday celebration. And I became a member of the Oregon Historical Society. They've got some stuff going on there. So trying to get into the loop on some of that and seeing if organizations like this can utilize some of that. Kyle had some other great ideas. So we're getting to the point that we're going to be needing to meet on a regular basis, so I can keep up on Kyle's suggestions, ideas, and updates. That was just our more efficient way of doing it. So that's our plan going forward. What did I miss, Kyle, at a very high level?
Yeah, I think you touched on in general. I mean, there's a lot of like requests for informations out from potential entertainment options, but at this point, we're like trying to hear from these promoters on what people they have that could actually even be available for us to be able to make a decision on, because at this point, if it's like, oh, we want to chase down this one, but they're not available all week. So trying to get a list of some ideas to be able to share around about what we want. Say the petting zoo, I did send you guys that message. They backed out. And so I've asked several different agencies if they can find a replacement for that. Nobody's come back with anything solid yet, but they have been like, there's the canine show and there's a lot of more like grounds acts type stuff that, have been saying they're available, and it's like a performer that would set up or do something on the stage. It's like, well, we need like another activity area. Um, yeah, so we're kind of collecting information on what's even available out there at this point. But if anybody has anything particular that they would like us to look for, let me know and we can try to see what we can find.
Joel, you on there? Got anything to report? Nothing for me. Okay, thanks, Joel.
You know, with Joel, if we can set a time and talk about, the camping and parking, and then we can start looking at what that arrangement's gonna look like. I've left a message with the carnival operator also to schedule a time for him to come out. We really need to know how they're setting up, because that's gonna dictate a lot of how we set up around that.
So give me a time, I'll make it work. Thanks, Joel.
Okay.
So security policy, right?
Manager.
Oh, manager, sorry, just skipping over you.
Yeah. So the legislative session started this week. The Fairs Association is planning a managers meeting in Salem, followed with some legislative outreach. I'm not entirely sure what they're looking for from us yet, but that date is scheduled for next Thursday. With it being a short session, I think a lot of the priority is just trying to maintain what we're currently getting, which, I mean, if you look in our budget, it is one of the lines is the funding that we get from the legislature. There's been a lot of talk about Polk County. Polk County is on the verge of shutting their fairgrounds down because they don't have funding, so. And there's concern that if they fall, that they're just the first domino, that there may be other fairs that would be like, we're gonna close down altogether, or maybe just do their fair and not have their facility running the rest of the year. And if that ends up being the case in some of those, that might not even be on their current properties. Their properties may be removed and then they're finding a pop-up location to do their fair. So I'm sure there's gonna be some support, trying to find some support for them. Working through the stage and sound, I've got quotes from two companies that can do kind of a turnkey food court and concert stage to do the sound. One of them can provide everything. One of them can provide everything but the actual stage. And so I'm kind of like trying to analyze all these different scenarios, looking like we've got companies that are available and have given us quotes that we can work with. It's just selecting which one's gonna be the person. The guy that has been doing it says he's not available anymore, so at any rate, the stage that we had out here is not going to be the people that we have, so it's going to look different somehow this year. We've had 20 vendors apply already. 7 of them are food vendors. So that's a pretty good start. Considering it is open to the public on Friday. Prior to Friday, it was only open to previous vendors. And so 7 food vendors is about 50% of what we need from food vendors altogether. And there's a few staples that haven't applied yet, like Jim Nick, which they're certainly gonna come, but they probably won't register until they come here for the Scandinavian Festival. That's typically when we see them. Yeah, the sponsorship, 9,650, so that's a pretty decent start on that. For the opening act, we originally looked at this Jack Wharf. It seemed like one of the bands that a lot of you guys had commented on. Their price had doubled since we got the list from them, so they're off. I did bring up the concept of the Cruz Brothers again to Eric, and he was pretty excited about that idea. He said, I think that would work really well. And so he's working on an offer for them. And we can kind of work on that marketing strategy with them. Like, if you missed them last year on Saturday night, they had an amazing show.
Yeah. Yeah,
Backed by
I like it.
popular demand type of type of thing. And I do think that everybody that watched that show really did enjoy their performance. So he's gonna work on that. If we can't make that work, we were gonna move down to Hayden Kaufman or Ian Harrison, and we should be able to dial in this opening act, hopefully by the end of this week. The goal is to go to announce in the next 2 weeks. So by the end of this week, we'll have the flyer updated, whether we have a support act listed or not. It'll either say special guest, this person, or opening act to be announced. One of the things that we need to dial in, and I think we talked about this at the last meeting, we had in the offer, we had $30 for the general admission price and $50 for the front of stage price. Last year, our price was $25 early bird, $29 after June 1st, and then the week of the show, it went to $35. And so if you guys want to do that similar type of thing, or if you want to just go with this flat 30-50, either way, we need to send it to the artist with the ticketing link in order to be able to announce the show.
Can you tell me those numbers one more time?
So the offer says $30 for general admission and $50 for the front of stage.
Okay,
Last year we did 25 early bird special that went to $29 on the 1st of June.
okay,
And then the week of the fair, it went to $35. And then
Does,
the front-
is there a way we can kind of get an idea, like early birds, is it like half, do you know,
no,
remember? Okay,
maybe dozens.
dozens of
It's-
early birds, okay, all right. Yeah, I'm just kind of curious if is there opportunity to make it simple, at the very least, having just 2 sets, you like up to June and then then 30, like split it that way. I don't know, what's your thoughts, Abby?
so you're saying like do two different
It-
prices instead of three, right?
At the yeah, or even just simplify it by just having one price. If you're not getting more than a couple dozen early birders, are you really, is it even worth it to have that
No.
different pricing structure?
I agree with you there,
Mhm.
MJ. I mean, if we have 10 people, is it really worth the staff time and everything else to?
It does seem like a lot of those people that are buying those ones are people that are going to buy the tickets anyways. If they're
Yeah.
buying the tickets that early, they're not necessarily buying them because they're a deal, they're buying them because they're coming anyways. But it may make the difference for somebody to attend, I guess, and not. And then going to the 35 the week of the show is that incentive to try to get people to buy
Yeah.
tickets.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that maybe, and so make it 2 weeks before, whatever, yeah. Do it like 30 and then 35, which is so that the last week you're not scrambling as much, you're trying to get most people to get ahead, so you kind of have an idea what the ticket sales look like. Up to you, I'm not passionate either way. I think that the 3 layers seem to get a little too complicated, or not necessarily at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a bad idea.
30 early bird, 35 week to show.
Or a week or 2 weeks, whatever's, anyone care if we do 1 week or 2 weeks?
Okay. Whatever works for the team, actually, is
Other
probably.
side of it too, it's like as many that we can sell in advance that we're not having to deal with them the week of
Yeah.
the fair
Yeah.
when we're working on the fair, everything else going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's a bad idea.
Okay, and then if for some reason the artist makes a big stink out of it, then we'll readdress that.
Yeah.
The RFPs that we had done for concessions and beverage service in 2023 had said for 3 years, so we should be sending out a reevaluation of those services, so we'll need to work on that. Maintenance on the facility, Andrew's been doing a great job of trying to catch up on things that have been long standing needing to be done. There was a lot of lights on the building that weren't working. He's been going around getting those all running. The bridge had its annual inspection that had several items on it that needed to be addressed, and he's been taking care of that. He went through this restroom and cleaned it pretty well, and then resat the one fixture in the men's that was loose. And then he's been working on trying to find some of those budget numbers for a mower and that transfer switch and stuff. And then last week, the fire system, the fire company was out to do the repairs that were needed on the sprinkler system. They rebuilt the valve that actually actuates the system in the arena. Replaced another valve that wasn't functioning correctly. And then they flushed the lines, because when they did their work in the summer, they said, your lines are filled with crud. So they flushed them, and then now they've sent a follow-up on that says, okay, we flushed them, they didn't come clean. You're probably gonna have to replace some sections of this sprinkler pipe. So there's likely some additional work that's gonna need to be done on that system, which,
It's gonna go in the budget,
yeah, and that was the
or is
initial.
it this year?
I have a meeting set with him on Thursday to talk about that, with the understanding that we've already spent quite a bit more than we had anticipated in this current budget. But that being said, it's a very critical system that has to be maintained. And I mean, we're talking about 10 years of this not being, like, that was stuff that if the routine maintenance had been happening over the lifetime of this, then this wouldn't be necessary. There shouldn't be crap built up in your sprinkler pipe. Those things should be happening regularly. So we're kind of paying for the core maintenance in the past.
No,
We're getting on the right path on that system, so that it's not going, that it's gonna be taken care of moving forward. And then Rod's been bringing out some juveniles, and they've been helping do some cleaning. We've got lots of little projects for them, cleaning dust bunnies and vacuuming and wiping stuff. So hopefully we can get this thing spruced up, rolling into the spring. That's my report.
Okay, security policy.
Yes.
So it's to a point, right, that you would like us to approve it?
I believe so. I took the input that you guys had provided, based off of the conversations that we had last, we were trying to find a level that made it more as a way to implement this without kind of going to the extreme.
The noise part was.
Determining which events require the security is probably still the thing that's the most tricky on this. And so if there's anything to revise tonight, I think that's probably one of the points to talk on. When we met with Mike, he did talk about requirements from the fire code for crowd control. And so I did a search and said, what's the crowd control requirements for events in Oregon? So that's what I clicked onto the backside of the memo. Looks like one trained person for every 250 people when you have an event. So when any event that has over 250 people should have somebody here, no matter what, that's doing this crowd control piece. Looking back, we put a list together of the types of events and the issues that we had. I know that question came up as well, like which events are having a problem. So just some overall statistics. We're increasing in the numbers of banquets, fundraisers, celebration of life, and indoor arena programming. What's pretty steady is weddings, and what's decreasing is quinceañeras and baby showers. Examples of issues that have occurred, exhibit hall, kitchen, and property not properly cleaned up after events, renters needing to return the next day to clean, which basically means they had an additional day that they were on the property. Events that are bringing in campers, they're not paying the camping, like, we're not here on the weekends, so if they hold their event on Saturday and they had 3 people camped, there's nobody here to manage that. Flowers and plants in the gardens have been damaged. Soccer balls and volleyballs being kicked around and thrown around in the buildings. We've had the light fixture in the lobby get knocked down a couple of times, and when we play back, it's like we're kicking soccer balls around in there. It's gonna happen. The big one, loud music after 10 p.m. and there's been fights that have happened at some events. One of the other things that I wrote on here, we had an issue with some broken glass in the outdoor arena like 2 years ago. That was an issue for going into the fair. There was a bunch of glass in there. and having horse shows coming up. And then sometimes there's trash that gets left around the property, but some of that happens. Some of it I think might not be that people have left trash, but they may have left a garbage can open or a trash bag out and then the birds got to it and then it looks like they left a big mess.
Can you open the chat? Okay. I
Yeah,
just want to make sure there wasn't anything new.
oh. And it's in the agenda that I emailed to you yesterday, Joel. I don't know if that would be easier for you to look at it that way. Or if you give me some time, I can get it pulled up.
I can see it in there. It's just on my phone. It's hard to jump back and forth. That's okay. I'm reading it right now. I just can't also look at this other screen. I got it. We're good. Thank you.
Okay, I got a big list of the types of events. So I think this is where dialing into how do we identify which of these types of events that you all want to see security at and which ones you don't. But also Crab and Wine Festival, you know, they have security, they need crowd control, they would need parking, so they've got some higher levels. Scandinavian Festival, crowd control and parking. Winter Bazaar probably doesn't really need security. You know, I don't know how that would fall into this. They would go over 100 people currently, and so finding that middle ground. The flat track motorsport events, they typically provide their own security. Which I did add a clause into the back that I'll go over here in a second. I'm just kind of going over types of events. Banquets, horse shows, swap meets, gun and knife show, circus. Yeah. So yeah, identifying which of those, I think the main piece is when there's so many people and alcohol and the music, but I'm not sure if it's necessarily every event with alcohol. Like if it's a small baby shower and they have alcohol, I don't know if we necessarily need them to have our security here. So that's the one that's probably the trickiest thing to determine, you know, where's that low cutoff to when we're requiring it, that's not up to staff to basically determine every time. So I'd be interested in input from you guys on that. So none of that was changed. In the security staffing, the part that was changed was instead of being for all time when they're on the property to just when the public is in attendance. And then I also added a note in here about the security contractor that we have, how we did a public process and that no more than 3 years we'll reevaluate who that contractor is. So that it's not just you're using the company that we've had because we've always had them. We have a process in place for selecting who that security company is. And then I added this piece about the fire marshal stuff. Events must comply with all fire marshal, law enforcement, and other regulatory, any crowd control staffing required as part of that or their responsibility. And then a clause for these large events. So certain large scale events, including but not limited to festivals, multi-day events. Events with significant attendance may require services beyond the minimum required outlined in this policy. May include but not limited to overnight security, parking control, perimeter monitoring, crowd management. In such cases, for large scale events, renters may be permitted to contract with a licensed security company of their choosing, subject to approval of fairground staff. So I think that was the wording to find out that was gonna like help us accommodate the Scandinavian Festival and the Crab Festival and the circus and the monster truck show. Like they are hiring a company that is a professional security company. It's not the person that's coming in and they're having their wedding or New Year's party or whatever, that this is the first time they're renting a building. They don't do this every day. These are the people that it's their business that they're doing. So I felt like that was comfortable wording that you guys would be open to, that kind of gives it. If you're hiring a professional security company, we know who they are, they're credentialed. That's acceptable. you're paying for it. You need way more than what we're telling you you need to have. In those cases, it would be like, we've told you you have to hire TCB to do, you know, to have this many security people here, but then they're now having to hire another company to do night security or parking or crowd control. So it makes sense to me that they would be allowed to hire somebody with approval.
So you're saying you would change that in that draft?
It is changed in this draft, yeah.
Oh, why did I not see it? All right, let me look again.
It's number 6 that was added.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I think it looks
Yeah.
good.
The verbiage is good.
So the 100 people threshold. I think maybe if we go to the same thing it says in this fire code at the 250, but knowing if they have music and alcohol past 8 PM, they have to get it regardless of how many people they have.
MJ, Joel, what do you think of that?
Works for
I
me.
don't really like it myself, but sounds like I'm outnumbered, so what's it matter?
What don't you like?
So I don't like how we're gonna say who they have to hire for security. I mean, if someone's having a wedding with 102 people, it's like maybe there could be someone on security, you know? Or like the large scales events. I don't like how it's worded where on certain large scales events, but not limited to festival, blah, blah, blah. Significant attendance may require security services beyond the minimum requirements. I don't like how it's worded as beyond the minimum requirements. Maybe they just have their own preferred security contractor. I just think leaving the people the choice to hire their own security, I prefer that, especially if they're able to get someone to donate their security, then maybe they could
I
afford to
think we
spend
already
more.
had this conversation. I thought we did about whether or not
We
we were
did.
comfortable with it. And I mean, they can hire their own as long as it's approved, but picking
But
somebody
that's not what
within,
it says in here.
Well, so the issue is like the event that had the fight, like they had security here and they still had a fight. You know, like there are people that are here doing security are like, they're not looking out for the property. They're doing whatever the person that's paid them is telling them to do, not necessarily looking out for to make sure that the fairgrounds rules are being followed and that music isn't playing after 10 PM and the kids aren't, you know, tearing up the place. They're just basically doing whatever the person that's paying them is telling them to do.
Well, I mean, in my opinion, I'm not trying to persuade everyone, but in my opinion, let's make it to they can follow the guidelines. And if they don't, then they have to pay a higher deposit if they use their own security company. And then if they fail, then they don't get their deposit back.
So question on this. If we let people bring in their own security, what makes it security, right? Like, could someone just bring in, say, oh, I have security and it's Uncle Tom, that's a big burly guy. Like, is there that would confuse like a threshold of what's considered security, right? Does anyone understand, kind of get what I'm saying?
Uncle Tom that
I
works in
would-
the street
yes,
line that
I understand what you're
PTOs.
saying. I would
He wants
agree that it has that. I mean, if we're at an impasse and Joel has a compromise, I of a higher deposit, I think it would have to be significantly higher that they would think a long time about whether or not they would want to pursue that as an option. Because hiring their own security that's not approved is the equivalent of at times not having security.
I understand for sure. What if it was like $10 per attendee? So if there's 200 people, then it's a $2,000 deposit. Or I don't even know if $10 is the number, but something so that it's progressive like that, where it's because like for me, it's like maybe I don't want security guards that drive around with walkie-talkies on, you know what I mean? Like I would rather have it be someone, I don't know, like I just like the idea that the fairgrounds is for people to go there and use it as they please. Like I don't really in my head, I don't like the whole nailing it down to, okay, well, you can hire our security company if you want to use our fairgrounds. But yeah, I know I'm kind of fighting a losing battle here, but yeah, the solution, in my opinion, would be a deposit of some sort. Like I was saying, progressive, the more people, the higher it is. And of course, if there's alcohol served, run it up to 15 a head or whatever it is. And then if they become a problem, like, okay, the Lums Auto Center, I hate to even put a name out there, sorry, Lums, but they got a little too rowdy, got in trouble. Guess what? Next time you got to use our security company. But then again, I'm kind of a good old boy too, you know?
Right. I mean, it could be like a wedding party from Portland area, right? They're not at all, that is not a discouraged, like, you're gonna get dinged next time. They're like, well, we don't ever plan on coming back, those kind of things. So I think that's something to consider as well. And I don't know if that would be a deterrent to say we won't rent to you again. That's just another thing to consider.
I do think if it's something where we were to give or make them put a higher deposit down, that I would be lenient to have it be a per person, because people could tell you whatever they wanted for the amount of people.
It would be an administrative nightmare to try to figure out
So
what that charge would be. They would be like, oh, we had 70 people and then they had 400 people show
Yeah.
up for their event. I think one of the things and this is just maybe me kind of trying to understand where you're coming from, Joel. Thinking it's like you have a police officer standing in the room watching them. It's not like this person's really not here to really be seen. They're here to like make sure that our property is being protected, not to be, interrupting their event.
well, and I can appreciate Joel too, is you see the best in people, right? You think of what you would do if you were renting it and you brought in security, and I would love if everyone was like you, Joel, and was gonna bring in true security and not destroy the place. So I get where you're coming from, that you see the best in people and you think they're gonna do the right thing.
Well, thank you. I see a flaw in that. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know. That's still how I feel, and sorry. But yeah, how much would the security be? Let's just say I was having a wedding, there's 200 people and there's alcohol served. Like, what do you think? Like, if you could throw a cost at that, what do you think that would cost?
Approximately $30 an hour per security guard. So depending on the event, if it's a 4-hour event and they need one security guard, you're talking $120. If you need two, it's $240.
But how many? I have no idea what would be required for, like, let's say it's a wedding that's, that goes on for 4 hours, 200 people serving alcohol.
I'd say that's probably a 1-person event. There would need to be, we would get the particulars of the event from the folks when they went to rent it, and then we would have that conversation with the security company, because they're not gonna send somebody out here to a raging thing by themselves and leave them high and dry. So if it's a significantly large event that they're expecting several hundred people, they'll probably be like, okay, you're gonna have alcohol. They're gonna be selling this type of alcohol. They're gonna be having a band playing, like, we need 2 people. But if it's like, it's a wedding, there's gonna be 100 and something guests, they're gonna have a small band, they'll be like, oh, we can do that with a person. And so some of it will need to have some conversations with, a licensed certified security company that does this every day, that'll say, this is what we need to cover that event. So we'll need to collect enough information from whichever particular event in order to have that conversation with the security company.
All right. I mean, yeah, if we're talking $60 an hour for 2 guys for 4 hours, that's really not that bad. I could see, didn't want to see it out of control, but then again, it's only a 3-year contract max anyways, so I digress.
I move that we had adopt this.
Second.
Are we putting the 250 though?
Yeah, so if it's an
So-
event that doesn't have music, doesn't have alcohol, 250 is the number. If
Mhm.
they have if they have a band that's gonna be playing past 8 p.m., they're gonna be required to have it no matter what.
So Stephanie, with us at 2:50.
So we have to do amended motion, right?
No, we didn't vote on it though.
Oh, did we not vote?
You
Okay.
made a motion.
I made a motion.
So,
Oh, okay.
We didn't vote on it, or we didn't vote on it.
so maybe if we could circle back one more time here, so events with music, any event with alcohol, regardless of music, events open to the public with more than 250. I think that makes sense if we go to 250, if it's, the event just is 250. Any event with alcohol, or do you wanna put like a number, like up to 50 people, 100
If we're
people?
having champagne in a baby shower, it ain't gonna be rowdy.
Right, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, if you're having a baby shower or a celebration of life, like, I'm not sure if that needs it.
Couldn't we agree that you guys could use your discretion in something like that?
I agree.
I mean, you know, we trust them with the
Baby shower.
fairgrounds.
Yeah.
Come on.
You know, I mean, you know, we just need to protect the fairgrounds and we also need to protect the neighbors.
Yeah.
Maybe events serving alcohol are subject to staff discretion or something.
yeah.
Or fair
Yeah, I like
manager.
that.
Cause again,
Yeah.
a baby shower is not gonna be that good. Wedding party.
Subject to fair grounds manager.
No, it all hinges on you.
Yeah,
Are
which
you sure?
I'd rather have a hinge on me than leave Kristen in the lurch having to make these decisions, so. If they're having alcohol, then I will have a conversation and I'll work on some kind of criteria that I'll use. It's like, how many people are coming? What type of event do you have? But yeah, if it's a like brew cup or something, like you're gonna need it. But if it's just like I said, a wet baby shower or a small celebration of life or something like that, I don't think it's necessary.
Okay. So Stephanie, would you like to
Yes, I would like to make a motion
change about the
to change the attendance to 250 instead of 100,
and then,
and regardless of,
wait,
or, sorry,
no, to have the alcohol or have him make the decision on alcohol.
and Kyle make the decision on alcohol events.
I second.
All in favor?
I,
Okay, now. Glad we got that done. Now we're doing the facility rental fee and deposit update. And Kyle can take it away, and it looks like he would like us to, at the end of this, to approve the updated facility schedule.
Yeah, so there is quite a bit of discussion to have on this. The first and foremost, a disclosure up front. That meeting that we held to talk about this, we started the meeting late and I never unpaused the pausing, waiting for everyone to show up, so it wasn't recorded. So I went through using the notes that I had taken, and then Abby shared with me her notes as well. So I don't have the recording to listen to what that discussion went through. But I think the main thing that we're looking for at this point is really implementing deposits. We don't have any deposits. And then we had some facilities that didn't have a price associated to them at all. And then we also had the camping that there was an increase because of the lodging tax increase, so that needed to be adjusted. In the conversation, we also talked about increasing a bunch of the other existing rates. What my suggestion would be is we're going through the strategic plan. A portion of this plan is doing facility comps. What if we implement the deposits, leave the rates where they are, and then here in June, and then after the fair, we'll have better information. We can update the rates across the board based off of that. But then this would at least get us where we have a deposit implemented now and we're moving forward. And so I kind of cleaned it up, made it much more simpler, I think, than what we were looking at that other meeting. The deposit at 50% of the fee. A flat rate for these other spots that are just kind of outdoor areas that if somebody wants to rent them, It was just $200 if you want to use the parking lot or this lot or that lot, so that there's something there. Updated the camping that instead of being dry camping or tent camping to if you're camping with power and water or if you're camping without power and water. I did add a line here about the camping events. It's tough with these camping events when they're set up for camping. They don't know how many campers they have until the event happens. And then we have no way to hold them accountable. So getting a credit card on file with them, I will need to talk to Anthony about it to make sure we can do that, but I think we can. I mean, it's pretty common for places that rent it. Lots of questions though from Kristen about implementation of this, because this isn't something that's like you guys approve this tonight and then tomorrow everybody that's renting starting tomorrow, like know that this information is available. So some of the questions she had, so on setup days, like what if they don't clean up on time? Like what if they end up taking an extra cleanup day? We have that often where somebody's rented and then we come back in on Monday and all their stuff's still here. And so what are we gonna do to charge them for those days? There
That
was a lot
seems
of
pretty straightforward. I think it should be listed in there. If you need another day, you'll be charged for that, or your deposit will be kept, or you'll be
Yeah.
charged for it.
Keep your
deposit.
deposit. Would be my
Yeah.
recommendation.
Yeah, that'd be
Well,
my.
yeah. Either
it-
way, I mean, because maybe they need to keep the deposit because they still don't finish cleaning up.
Right.
So, I mean, they have to say you'd be charged for it. Yeah, I mean, that seems pretty straightforward.
That, yeah, I mean, that is an easy answer. So there was a talk about this setup day and about, a 50% price for the setup day, or if you wanted to reserve it and have it locked in, then you had to pay the full price up until 30 days prior. And then 30 days, if you call back within 30 days, then we'll give it to you at half price. At least that's how I recall the conversation.
Provided it's not rented.
What's that?
Provided it's not rented.
Provided it's not rented. I think, one of the things that Kristen wants to make sure, and I think I do too, it's like, we're not holding this date for these people. Like, we're gonna book this date and we're not gonna call you back and ask you if you're gonna use it if somebody else calls in request. Cause I think that's what we could see happening. It's like, we don't wanna reserve it, but if somebody calls to rent it, call us back and we'll.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no. Nope.
And just don't wanna be stuck in that position where we're now having to manage an extra layer of this account. The cancellation, we talked about 60 days prior, full refund, 30 to 60 days, 50%. And so is that the refund of the deposit? Because in most cases, these people aren't gonna be paying the full amount until the week they come in. They're only gonna be paying that refundable deposit piece to lock in the rental. So,
Which is why we went up higher on the deposit, right?
yeah, and so, it does work out that way for a 1-day rental. Like, cause the deposit is 50% of the rental. And so, yeah, they'd lose their deposit if they,
So basically what you're saying is if they cancel less than 30 days prior, but they haven't paid in full yet, basically they're not gonna give us more money to not show up, right? That's what you're saying?
right? Exactly.
And so maybe it says it in here, when do we require full payment by?
I don't think it says, typically we haven't had a deposit. And so people have just been paying their rental when they come in to get the keys.
Oh,
I
so
feel
maybe you could, yeah, sorry, go ahead. I'm sure you're gonna say the same thing.
Oh, yeah, no, just gonna say we should have it laid out when they need to pay us by.
Maybe do like a half down.
What was that, Joel?
50% upfront.
Yeah, maybe do like a half down. Like that's what we do before we schedule a job. Like before they schedule the event, maybe get a half down check.
Plus to deposit.
Well, the deposit is 50% of the rental right now. And
So-
so if it's
no matter what, right?
Mhm.
Well, so yeah, I
You're already
thought
paying.
we had decided that when you, in order for you to get your day reserved, you had to make the 50% payment, right?
I
deposit.
thought
Or
the
the
deposit was separate from the payment.
The deposit.
And my understanding was the deposit was just the security deposit, and that we only charged them that. Like, if your event was 4 days, you paid the deposit once, you didn't pay it,
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
right? So if your rental's $4,000 because you rented this room for 4 days, your deposit was 500. At least that's how I understood it, but if you're wanting 50% of the payment no more than 60 days prior, maybe something like that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. But I don't know, that's just how we do it.
That makes sense, especially if they're planning like, oh, not everybody does, but days in advance. Here's my deposit. A reminder gets sent, you're hitting the mark, we need 50% down within, what'd you say, 60 days?
60 days.
Yeah,
And
60
then that would
days.
line up with the
Here's your
cancellation
reminder.
policy.
Yeah,
And-
here's your reminder.
Yeah.
And then, the deposit isn't like, your rain check for the date, your deposit. As far as these numbers that these are like the security and assurance deposit that you get back. It's not really part of your rental.
Correct.
Unless you cancel.
I-
Unless you cancel.
I do think, I agree with this, but I do think we still need to have a timeline, right, on when they need to pay in full. Like, or I guess, do we want that? Do we want it to be, you need to make your payment? Like, do you want the payment like a couple days before, so amount of time before the event? Or are you fine getting payment the day they show up, what to get the keys?
It hasn't really been an issue with cancellations. I think maybe the entire time we've been here, there's been maybe 3 cancellations. And so for the most part, people, I mean, a lot of the events we do are recurring events, so they're coming in the week of, they make the payment, they get the key, and they're ready for their event that week. It's half dozen of one or the other. I mean, we have the money and it's in the bank, but it's also in a separate account. Like, it hasn't been deposited into our revenue line until the event has happened, so. It's not like we're taking their money and spending it. If they cancel it, it's there, safe. It's ready to be refunded to them, but, I mean, 2 weeks prior would be something I think anybody would think is reasonable if you're renting a property. to
Well,
pay at
I think
least-
doesn't it come down to like, what is the probability of you being able to re-rent it? I mean, with 2 weeks, is that sufficient time for you to?
So we were talking about 50% within 60 days and full payment within 2 weeks.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
Okay.
That's it.
And that's reasonable.
And it's, to be sitting here having this conversation, it's like, this place is 35 years old, how is this not figured out? But it's good that we're having this conversation.
Payment, so full payment 2 weeks. MJ, Joel, what do you guys think of
Yeah.
that?
Well, I'm good.
I'm fine with that. I'm even fine with the day of, but I'm fine with 2 weeks as well. And then when for the deposit?
60 days?
Okay, the deposit and the first half.
Sorry, don't listen to me, Joel.
It's okay.
So
The
your-
deposit is like, I want this day.
The deposit would be due when you sign the rental agreement.
Yeah.
50%
okay.
of,
Perfect. I like it.
50% of the rental would be due by 60 days.
This confused me last time too.
Yeah.
I'm so, Kyle, when I do my
And I can't
kids party,
remember,
you
I'm
just tell
probably
me what you
opening up a
need.
can of
I'm
worms.
lost.
Kitchen, why is the deposit, again, just refresh me, why is it 500 and the flat rate is 400? Is that just expensive what to repair?
Don't know, it's what it
I
was.
remember there was a discussion about it, but I don't,
The what?
why we put the deposit for the kitchen to be 500, even though the rental was 400.
In case they
Bust
damage
something,
the
right?
kitchen.
Okay, it was, I think it had to do with that, right?
Yeah.
Cause something got busted not too long ago,
I don't remember.
right?
I don't think it's something.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I'll look back in my notes there.
But the reason we have the deposit is in case they damage it.
Well, cause what I mean is like,
General.
that's not 50% of the rate. That's the only reason I asked.
Yeah,
That's all.
It's like, yeah, it's more
It's
than,
more than what you charge.
right? I think it's
But never mind,
probably
I'll go look at my notes. It's
got
okay.
the most,
No worries.
the most valuable equipment in it.
Yes.
So I definitely think after we get everything with the strategic plan done, we will need to come sit back down again and evaluate these rates, because I think this is a great start to get us out the door on stuff, but I definitely think another conversation will need to be had. And one thing too, Kyle didn't mention is he did add to here, for people that want to use the indoor arena for private use, there's an option for $1,000 for them to rent it versus how it was before with 2,000.
The percentage with the, it was a minimum
Yeah.
2,000 with 15% of their ticket sales.
And I thought we were raising the rates on the barn. to
Yeah, and that's where
500.
I was just thinking, to me, it
Yeah.
made sense, like, why don't we just wait another couple months?
Mhm.
Cause we're so close to getting that comp done. It was more like
Do the comps.
when we didn't have anything in place for something that
Mhm.
it was really the only stuff that I tried to address with this version.
Okay.
Yeah, my only question about waiting is, I know last year this time was the whole concept of like the Scandinavian Festival and other events that are significantly undercharged. Are we missing out on this year to get a reliable income there? Is it gonna take another, like, they're gonna have 2 years on the same, hey, we'll let you know next year?
So I am working to schedule a meeting with the chamber to talk about festival pricing, you know, with the understanding too, like we can't price them out, so let's have a conversation with them about something that's mutually beneficial. Like I could see festival pricing being some other type of formula altogether. When it comes down to it, because there's more involved with it. It's like, you're not just renting the room, we've got to do floor and all this other stuff, and you have multiple days. I think it's worth a conversation with them when we are talking about a significant change to these two large festivals that are happening that are really not part of this day in, day out, like people calling off the street looking to rent the facility.
Yeah, okay. And that's still gonna wait for the strategic plan or not?
No, Kyle, is gonna, is scheduling a meeting
Oh, okay,
like now
Gotcha.
before the strategic
Yeah,
planning.
I
And
see.
then I think having some feedback from that conversation to have at the strategic plan when we go through these comps. And then also David and the chamber are in the Scandinavian Festival are both stakeholders that were in this thing. And that might be something for me to follow up with Gail on, is to specifically talk about, you know, long-term relationship, making sure that their events stay viable, but also balancing, you know, our needs.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Anything else on that, Kyle?
There was one other comment that that has been something that's challenging for us. That I don't necessarily know if it fits into this, but events that are booking out like 2 or 3 years from now. It's like, how do we want to be addressing that? And I think that's another thing that could be one of those good questions for the other venues. It's like, how are they addressing this? Because if you were to rent now for 2028, are you locking in at 2026 prices, or are you going to pay the price that's set in 2028?
I would say no.
But at the same
No.
time,
No.
we want to be able to book these things, and you know, there's a lot of when people are serious about their wedding and things, like they are planning them 2 years out.
Yeah.
Their very first thing they're trying to do is lock in their venue.
Mhm.
But it's challenging for us. So
Oh.
when somebody's wanting to book, and we've been having this conversation now for 3 years about revising our fees and our rental agreement, it's like trying to string it along a little so that we can make a decision on how to address these.
How often do you get those calls?
How many?
Years.
Maybe 4 or 5 a year that book out that far, that are looking for 2 years or 3 years in advance.
And it's for usually 1 day events, not.
Yeah,
days.
usually wedding,
A
yeah.
wedding. I would
So,
say
Yeah, I think you're saying, I mean, to me, that fits really well with getting that information from the strategic plan. I don't know if it's a question that's already on her survey or questions.
But I think I've asked this question to some other venues. I feel like there may have been something like, we'll hold the date for them, we'll take a deposit, but we won't issue them their contract until 12 months prior or something like that.
Yeah,
Oh.
that seems reasonable.
That's fair.
It took us 3 years to increase the prices now, so
Right.
our track record isn't that good.
Yeah. Okay, so I think the only real change we made was said deposit due at time of signing and 50% of your rental is due
60 days.
60 days prior.
Yep.
And then obviously, if you miss your cleanup day, you're gonna lose your deposit.
I think that's 100% fair.
Yeah,
That's what it's there for, right?
if we had an event the next day, it would be a major issue. And that's really, I think, the main goal of implementing this is that we can hopefully start booking this thing 3 days a week or 2 days a week instead of just one event per week.
And if we could add another 30 more, events,
Yeah,
it's a couple of dollars. What's your time frame to get this in action, Colin?
I would say if we get this approved with the budget and the vendor stuff that we're working on, it's gonna take us a couple of weeks to update our applications and our rental agreement and our documents. But as far as the people that will
Wait
start
for-
calling in, we'll start telling them that this is their new rate. I'll have to think about how quickly we can get at least this sheet up in place of our pricing sheet.
Yeah, because you gotta get it on the website, and then also the county's got it on their website too.
Yeah, we put it on the county's website, yeah. We manage that page.
Do you want us to vote or not vote? Sorry, make a motion?
Yeah.
Okay, someone wanna make a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the rental agreement with the exceptions that we noted in this conversation.
I'll take it.
Hey, I'm 76 years old. Give me a break.
I wouldn't.
I'll second it.
I'll just repeat it here, so one person's doing the minutes. It's that, deposit is due at the time of signing the agreement and 50% of the payment is due 60 days out. And that the,
Full payments.
full payment's due 2 weeks prior.
And Stephanie second it, all in favor?
All right,
We didn't make a change on, just, I thought we made a change also on the fees. Like if you book 3 years out, I thought we said that you pay the deposit to hold the date and then update the fees when the time comes.
it wasn't really a change, it just, I think Kyle was just changing how he communicates it. I don't think we voted on it.
Good enough for me.
Yeah, that's something I think we can do administratively. But I think when we do another round on this, we'll incorporate something in there.
Okay, oh, we're not done. Financial report.
Oh, yeah. Tiny.
I did print it off
Oh, you
for
printed it.
large size. So, yeah, that's the year to date. Let me know if you have any questions. And then once I get through this projections here in the next week and a half, rolling into our meeting at the end of the month, it will be an even clearer picture.
Okay, sounds good. Go to the order.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Good job.
Joel, MJ?
I'm good.
I'm good, that was a great meeting, thanks, everybody.
Okay, thank you. We're adjourned.
Place for sure.